Sanusi Lamido Sanusi II reinstated as Emir of Kano despite court injunction. Boko Haram terrorist commander, 5 others surrender to troops in Borno. Court seizes $4.7 million, 830 million naira other properties recovered from former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. And on the international scene, International Court of Justice orders Israel to immediately halt Rafah offensive. A very good evening and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. My name is Sagir Ibrahim. Now, nearly 24 hours after his reinstatement, Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II has received his reappointment letter as the 16th Emir of Kano. This follows the State Assembly's amendment of the State Emirate Council law on Thursday, which favored Sanusi's return to the throne of the Kano Emirate. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin was there and now reports.
4 years ago, he was dethroned and exiled from Kano when his emirate was divided into 5 kingdoms under the now repealed Kano Emir's appointment and deposition law. In a colorful and festive celebration, Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II has returned to receive his reappointment letter as the 16th Emir of Kano, replacing Amina Ado Bayero, who has been dethroned by the state government.
In consonance with the Kano Emirate Council's referral law 2024 and supported by the recommendations of the Kano Emirate Council's kingmakers who are here with us, I, Governor Abaki Yusuf of Kano State, have the singular pleasure to confirm the appointment of Sanusi Lamido Aminu Sanusi as the Emir of Kano and the head of Kano Emirate Council.
While presenting the reappointment letter, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf confirmed that the Emir Sanusi's reinstatement followed a bill passed by the State Assembly, which he subsequently signed into law, paving the way for the reorganization of Kano Emirate.
Your reappointment to the coveted throne of Malang Ibrahim Dabo was guided by our collective and careful judgment about your competence, credibility, proven intellect, and your popularity, not only in Kano State or Nigeria, but across the globe.
Receiving the reappointment letter, Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II assured the governor that he will do whatever it takes to restore the glory of the Kano traditional kingdom. He expressed his gratitude to the governor and the people of Kano State for their prayers and patience over the last 4 years since his dethronement. Hundreds of Kano residents have turned out to celebrate the return of Emir Sanusi as the dethroned 15th Emir Amina Ado Bayero joins other emirs in vacating their respective kingdoms. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And earlier, before the reinstatement, a federal high court in Kano has issued an order preventing Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf from reinstating Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II until a suit challenging the reinstatement is resolved. The order also opposes the dissolving of Bichi, Gaya, Karaye and Rano Emirates. Justice A.M. Liman directed all parties to maintain the status quo until the case filed by Sarkin Dawaki Baba and Aminu Baba Dan Aguni is decided. The court allowed serving documents on the Inspector General of Police in Abuja. The defendants include the Kano State government and various state and security officials. The next hearing is scheduled for June the 3rd. And joining me now via Zoom to discuss this is a legal practitioner, Abba Hikma Esquire. Good evening and thank you for joining me on the News Hour. Well, some would describe this as basically a scene from a movie if this is this wasn't happening before our eyes. But then again, walk me through your thoughts when you first, heard that they had proceeded. The Kano State government, of course, had proceeded with the coronation of and the handing of the staff of office to Sanusi II, of course.
Thank you very much for having me on this program. And my initial thoughts, like you asked, depend on so many factors, about two factors. And that is that if Kano state government has been validly and accurately staffed by the order of court restraining it from proceeding in that respect, then the law is that every action done subsequent to service of court order is null and void, and the courts are always in the habit, and always inclined to nullifying any action done in violation of order of court. But if at the time the governor of Kano State proceeded to hand over the appointment letter to the emir, the newly appointed emir, and the staff of office, if as at that time, the government, maybe through the attorney general or any other government, any party of the Kano State government before the court, if as at that time they have not been served by order of court, then you could not assume they are aware of the pendency of the matter, because in law, the pendency of a matter or the pendency or subsistence of an order of court can only be assumed when the party against whom the order is issued has been validly served and he has made endorsement. So it is two ways. If the government is served, you can say it's null and void. And if the government is not served, as at when the governor was proceeding, then you could say that it has been validly done. And then, the order given is an order restraining the government from doing something which has been made already. You understand what I mean? Part of my concern when I saw the order was that if there's an order of court restraining the government from doing something which has been done. Logically speaking, you cannot stop me, for example, from participating in this program after I have participated. So the law does not stop a concluded act. But, this is just one point of looking at it. But really, there are other bottlenecks, there are other very serious legal concerns and issues that does not have to do with the order of court, which has to do with the appointment itself. I don't know whether you have time.
Another issue here, and that is on the question of whether the order by the court stands in the first instance, because there's also developments that the governor of Kano State had mentioned that the judge that delivered judgment on that very case was actually not in the country. So I don't know if you could walk us through the possibility of the judge being able to enforce judgment, or rather give judgment when he's out of the court and even out of the country.
I know in the Federal High Court, there's a 2020 COVID-19 practice direction, which allow courts to sit remotely and conduct their proceedings electronically. Although that court practice direction was issued during the COVID-19, that particular set of legislation or rule of court has continued to apply in proceedings before the Federal High Court, even as recently as this year. So there is a law, there's a rule of court that allows courts to sit remotely. A judge does not have to be around. He can just stay from wherever he is. I'm sure Nigerians are not new to this. Now, if that is what happened, you can say there's no problem, there's no qualms. But if that is not what happened, a judge merely sits, away from where he should be, away from the courtroom, and then misrepresent facts and show that, he's in court and that a certain lawyer appeared before him, or that he has perused the physical copies of the processes filed before him, then that is anything not less. That is, a very serious professional misconduct, which the judge can be punished seriously at the very before.
Okay. Now, in this instance, what would you then say would be the next steps now in the instance that, for example, the Kano State government had flouted court order? So what's the next step for the Kano State High Court that gave the order in the first place, and also for those who had approached the court in the first instance?
Like I told you before, if there is any flouting of an order of court, any action done in violation of an order of court is null and void in the eyes of the law. And it doesn't have to be this court. Assuming this case before the Federal High Court does not even succeed eventually, no court in Nigeria will validate or ratify whatever has been done in violation of the order of court, even assuming, the case does not subsist. As we stand, there's an order of court which restrains Kano State government from doing anything. And if Kano State government has been served by that order, then Kano State government has a duty in law. There is no discretion here. They have a duty in law to restrict themselves and to refrain from doing anything which the court order prohibits them from doing, and any such action will be seen by the court and the law as a nullity entirely.
All right, Barrister Abba Hikma, legal practitioner, thank you so much for providing perspectives on this issue, which, of course, definitely will make it to the history books. It's been a lovely conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, and 6 Boko Haram members, including a terrorist commander, have surrendered to troops of the Multinational Joint Task Force. The insurgents gave up their terrorist activities and handed themselves over to the military on Thursday. Disclosing this in a statement on Saturday, the MNJTF's Chief Military Public Information Officer, Lieutenant Colonel Abubakar Abdullahi, identified the terrorist commander as Adamu Mohammed. According to the MNJTF spokesman, over 100 terrorists have renounced terrorism since the commencement of Operation Lake Sanity 2, aimed at flushing out insurgents in the region. And the Kogi State Police Command has said its operatives at Adogo Division, led by SP Yusuf Hansi, in collaboration with the local vigilantes on Thursday, rescued 5 kidnapped victims from their abductors. The State Police Command's Public Relations Officer, SP Williams Aya, disclosed this on Friday in Lokoja. He said the 5 kidnapped victims were earlier abducted by hoodlums at Ariswari area of Ajaokuta local government in the state. He added that the kidnapped victims were abducted on the 17th of May 2024 while on transit along Ajaokuta Adogo Road. However, the police command stressed further that one Ilyasu Abubakar was shot dead while one other sustained bullet wound on his right chest. And the Anambra State government has announced the release of a kidnapped Catholic priest, Reverend Father Basil Buzwo, and Professor Sidney Onyago of Nnamdi University, Awka, on Friday. The press secretary to Anambra State Governor Christian Aburime, who disclosed this in a press release on Friday, did not share details of the priest's release, but said that Anambra State government has commenced work to exterminate all criminal elements in the state. The Police Public Relations Officer of Anambra State, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, who confirmed their release, said the Commissioner of Police, CP Nage Obono Itam, has activated onslaught operations on abductors of Father Basil Buzwo and Professor Sidney Onyago of Unizik. According to him, they were released unhurt by those who kidnapped them on Friday. The two were last week abducted at Nko, close to Onitsha, by unknown gunmen. And despite being computer engineering graduate, a young welder at the old Panteka market in Kaduna, Hamisu Yusuf, has refused to abandon his welding profession to seek formal employment. Trust TV's Bello Musa, who visited the market, takes us through the success story of Hamisu Yusuf, who, unlike many graduates, pursue white-collar jobs instead of having a skill that guarantees regular income, has stuck to his trade and is leading a decent life. Take a look.
After primary education, he took to welding as an apprentice. He then sponsored himself to study computer engineering at the Kaduna Polytechnic before bagging a postgraduate diploma at the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Since then, he has continued to develop himself until he has become a master.
Engineers, they only design, but they cannot be able to come into the real action, the practical aspect of it. But we can read the theoretical aspect of it, and we can do the work practically. That's the technical part of the work. That's the difference between we and the engineers. They can only design and what's it called? What do I say? They can only design and execute the job theoretically.
According to him, the knowledge of computer engineering he acquired in school helped him to improve his work.
It helps a lot because now I can automate gates, doors to you in such a way that if you want to enter your house, you don't need to put on physical security. With that automation, once you come, if you want to enter your house, if the gate senses you at a distance of, let's say, 500 meter or 300 meter, the gate automatically opens itself.
Venturing into skilled work has been a fulfilling one for Yusuf.
With this job you are seeing, I sponsor myself from secondary school to the higher institution. I married out of this business. I get a lot of assets to see from this job, and I train so many people in this job, and I support my siblings also in this job and my parents.
With the economic realities biting every sector, these skilled workers are not exempted.
Let's say it affects our sector 70 to 80% due to the skyrocketing of prices in the market. People cannot be able to afford the way they afford the product in the market. In the country, to see, we don't have the country is getting short of power supply entirely. So we are facing that challenge too in this our industry.
The life journey of Hamis Yusuf is an inspiration for young people to engage in skilled work to better their lives. Bella Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
With the current economic crisis in the country, youths in Benue State are adopting creative means of survival. Those who once stayed away from artisan jobs now find them attractive and are even urging their fellow youths to embrace those around them instead of continually waiting for white-collar opportunities. Trust TV's Jimmy Atzande brings us more.
The building and construction industry, with its various components, is providing the easiest pathway to both skilled and unskilled labor in Benue State, apart from farming. Joshua Nyam is an applicant awaiting admission into the university. He says staying at construction sites means learning and earning at the same time.
Actually, I'm an applicant. I graduated from the secondary school last year. And then, while waiting for my admission, I decided to involve myself in working here in the site, learning how to build and then keeping myself company and keeping myself busy, instead of sitting at home idling around and demanding for some of my basic need. I come here, or sometimes I go to different sites to go and work so I can earn money for my own self, and then I'll learn more about the skills.
Many youths have acquired diverse skills relating to building and construction, though the demand for housing requires more hands.
Them to come and join us to this site like this to see how they can keep themselves going, waiting for white-collar jobs, and in return you're not good stealing. And in this place you can still be learning the skills, building too. So I think it will be a help to the youth at large.
Unlike in the past, many youths are now jettisoning the idea of waiting for white-collar jobs.
This is one of the things you can do to earn your money and then keep your time, keep yourself busy, and then keep yourself free from other vices or from negative thoughts.
To discover that certificate is not working any longer. Besides that, that is why nobody should go to school with the mindset that after graduation, I will come back and I will be employed.
Economists say, in a tough economic climate like the one Nigeria is experiencing, only those with some form of goods and services to offer can survive. Hence, the need for more youths to acquire in-demand skills. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered an interim forfeiture of the sums of $4.719 million 830 million naira and several properties linked to a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin EMEFIELE. Justice Yelim Bogoro gave the order on Thursday following an ex parte application by counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC Bilkisu Buhari. After listening to the EFCC counsel, Justice Bogoro in her ruling said he find merit in the application and same is hereby granted as prayed. The EFCC had approached the court for an interim forfeiture of the monies and properties under Section 17 of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offence Act 14, 2006, Section 44 Sub 2B of the Constitution and under the inherent jurisdiction of the court. And the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, says the offence of the detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, is a difficult one and can only be resolved by a competent court of law. He added that since the matter was already in court, it should be left to the law to have its way. The AGF said this while responding to questions at the sectoral ministerial briefing on the first anniversary of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration on Friday. He also pointed out that there was a remarkable difference between Kanu's case and that of Omoyele Sowore. While pointing out that Kanu is being held in accordance with the Constitution, he added that the matter was still in court. The Attorney General further added that the federal government secured 250 convictions for terrorism and other criminal offences in 1 year. The Imo State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal on Friday upheld the election of Hope Uzodinma of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as Imo State Governor. The tribunal, which gave its ruling in Abuja, also dismissed the petition of the Labour Party and its governorship candidate, Ethan Achonu. In a unanimous decision delivered by Justice Oluyemi Akintan Osadibe, the three-man panel of the tribunal held that Uzodinma's election as Imo State Governor complied substantially with the provisions of the Electoral Act. The tribunal further held that the Labour Party in its petition failed to prove the allegation of overvoting and non-compliance to the Electoral Act. And Justice Uche Agomon of the Ibadan Division of the Federal High Court has fixed July 15th for hearing of originating summons and preliminary objections in a suit instituted by a group of conservationists and the Bodija Residents Association who have kicked against the proposed conversion of the Ogunpa Forest Reserve into a residential facility. Counsel to the plaintiff, Oladipo Olashope, insists that government did not comply with the Environmental Impact Assessment Act or calling for reversal to status quo. Here's the report.
A group of conservationists and complaint of residents of Ibadan Association had approached the Ibadan Division of the Federal High Court for interpretation of the Environmental Impact Assessment Act, which they say negates government's recent move.
The Environmental Impact Assessment Act says that when any parcel of land above 50 hectares is being converted, there should be an environmental impact assessment conducted by whoever wants to convert the land. So our case is for the court to interpret whether that Ogunpa forest can be converted for residential use without carrying out an environmental impact.
Parties to this suit are also challenging the jurisdiction of the court to hear the matter, but in a submission, trial judge Justice Uche Agomon adjourned till July 15 for hearing on preliminary objections and substantive suits. Meanwhile, a cross-section of environmentalists have warned of the devastating impact of logging of the forest reserve, which they say could pose grave danger to the city of Ibadan.
50, 70 years old trees have been destroyed. Even if you plant 1 million trees there tomorrow, it will take 50 years before they reach maturity. Trees which absorb carbon, which hold, stop erosion, which stop flooding, are at least 50 years. So stop the work now. They're going to go on cutting down those trees and they're destroying topsoil.
Cutting down forests is like turning back the clock, you know. We're going in reverse gear. And Oyo State needs to understand that they are a part of Nigeria, and Nigeria has a pact to reduce emissions.
Well, presently, all we can say is that they keep cutting people living in the end axis, Francis Okedike and co. You keep hearing the noise of felling of trees, even in the night, all day, all night. You just keep hearing the noise of felling of trees. That's the immediate, that's what we see now.
Chairman Bodija Resident Association efforts to speak with counsel to the defendant proved abortive, but experts here have urged the courts to determine the case in the interest of the general public.
And the federal government has banned the depiction of money rituals and the glamorization of vices in Nigerian films to combat the negative impact on society. This measure aims to reduce the real-life consequences linked to such portrayals, fostering a healthier cultural environment. This move highlights the role of filmmakers in promoting positive societal norms and has garnered support for its potential to reduce harmful behaviors. In this report, Safia takes a look at its implication and also the reasons for this approach.
Nollywood movies have become part of the daily lives of Nigerians, providing entertainment, enlightenment, information, and so much more. While there are so many positives from the production of Nollywood movies, there are concerns that some of its content is corrupting the social fabric of the national cinema, especially the value system. The move by the government to ban certain elements in Nigerian movies has generated mixed reactions from the public. During an interview, Happy Julian, a movie producer and Nollywood actress, discussed why prohibiting money ritual and smoking scenes in Nollywood movies isn't the right approach.
There's no impact. There's no impact. Now, you stop it. Is it going to stop? Is it going to stop people from smoking? Is it going to stop people from money rituals? Is it going to stop anything? No, it's not going to stop. In fact, it's going to go more.
The movie producer also stated that prohibiting these scenes will have no significant impact on the content and themes of Nigerian films. She argues that removing such acts from movies won't stop people from engaging in money rituals and smoking in real life.
They should have, first of all, implemented in law by telling people to stop smoking and stop the money ritual, or probably pass a sentence. When you do these things, you're going to get 5 years imprisonment.
On the streets of Abuja, many are in support of the federal government's move to sanitize movie content for the betterment of society.
Cancel all these rubbish, smoking outside. Before, when I was youth, before you can see a person like this smoking in their head. For where? But now, they are just smoking like say they are drink water.
But if you watch it, today's life, the thing is not telling any good. It's not helping issues. Rather, it's teaching a lot of bad things, which children of nowadays are is not inculcating anything good in their lives.
While others support the government's decision to ban ritual sacrifices and smoking scenes in Nollywood movies, an FCT resident suggested that such content shouldn't be completely banned since it provides a source of income for some people, while also advocating for parental guidance and control of certain media content.
I'm not in support of government banning them because we are equally learning from the acting we are watching. We have learned a lot of things. They have revealed so many secrets. A lot of secrets has been revealed through this acting. So there are lessons we learn from things like this. And though they should ban maybe cigarettes, all those ones because of the children.
Speaking on the matter, the National President, Theatre Arts and Motion Pictures Producers Association of Nigeria, Bolaji Amusan, said he will be meeting with members of the association to discuss the new directive by the federal government. Safiat Eneda, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Also, Nigeria's educational landscape features a distinct division between universities and polytechnics, each serving different educational and career paths. This division, known as the University-Polytechnic dichotomy, has been a topic of debate, scrutiny, and reform efforts over the years. This week, rectors and provosts of polytechnics and other TVET awarding institutions discussed a proposal to replace the HND program with a Bachelor of Technology degree. Trust TV's Dorcas Yakubu has more.
The distinction between universities and polytechnics often lies in their focus and approach to education. Universities typically emphasize theoretical knowledge and research, offering academic degrees like bachelor's, master's, and PhD. Polytechnics prioritize practical, hands-on learning and vocational training, offering diplomas or certificates. A letter signed by the Director of Human Resources of the National Board of Technical Education, Lawal Hafiz, and addressed to all rectors and provosts across Nigeria, urged the federal government to assent to the bill seeking to remove the dichotomy between bachelor's degrees and higher national diplomas. The decision has received approval from citizens.
There is nothing bad in it. They can replace the bachelor in technology, maybe add 1 year to their program year to enable them meet up with the academic records with the BSc. I think it's a good one to eliminate the boundary between HND and BSc, maybe in civil service and the rest of them. Though I don't have HND, but I feel they are paying, maybe trying to feel that the BSc holders are intimidating them in their working place and all the rest of them.
I feel there's actually no difference between the university and the technology polytechnics. There's actually no difference. The same certificate is what you obtain when you go to the university and when you go to the polytechnic. The issue is just the diversity in the award of degrees. But I feel that if people can work with HND and earn that much money as people that have bachelor degrees, then there's no need why there should be diversity.
It's a good move in the right direction. Why? Because of the discrepancy. Once they see HND, they think those people are not well brought up. But now that the Bachelor of, Bachelor of Technology is included now, it will boost their morale. Those that already have HND, they know they have been upgraded. So it's a very good move.
In an interview, a development analyst raised concerns about the existing dichotomy, emphasizing the importance of addressing this disparity for the Nigerian economy. He highlighted the need for the government to recognize the significance of technical expertise.
If you follow the path of a diploma in Nigeria from a polytechnic, you get stuck at grade level 14 in the civil service. You don't go beyond that. Only people with a BSc can go beyond that and rise to directorial or managerial levels. And that disparity has created serious problems. So what this bill wants to do is to remove that. And what we really need in Nigeria is to have people who are good with their hands, people who are good technically. Because you see, technology is the backbone of the world, science and technology. You have scientists who come up with the ideas, then you have technologists who practicalize those ideas. There's a need that we bring this together and remove this dichotomy so that whether you study in a polytechnic or in a university, you can rise and get to the peak of your profession.
He added that if the bill is assented to, it will impact the job market and employment opportunities for graduates in Nigeria.
It will encourage people to go for technical subjects like it should be the case. People avoid technical subjects simply because they feel that they will not be remunerated as much as their colleagues who have gone through the regular university.
The resolution of the dichotomy between universities and polytechnics in Nigeria requires a multifaceted approach that addresses structural, institutional, and societal barriers. Through promoting collaboration, innovation, and inclusivity, Nigeria can create a more equitable educational system that empowers students with the skills and knowledge needed to thrive in a dynamic and competitive global economy. Dorcas Yakubu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Thanks to Dorcas for that report. And as part of activities marking his 5th year in office, Governor Ahmad Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa State has commissioned a 60-bed cottage hospital on the 4.8-kilometer road constructed by his administration in Demsa town. This new hospital is the first secondary health facility established in the headquarters of Demsa local government area since the council's creation in 1991. Gibson Swadigo reports.
Adamawa State Governor Ahmad Umar Fentry, accompanied by members of his executive council, arrived in Demsa to commission a 60-bed cottage hospital and a 4.8-kilometer road constructed by his administration. The atmosphere was electrified with performances from press singers and traditional dance troupes, captivating the guest. In his speech, Governor Ahmad Fintri emphasized that his administration is committed to ensuring quality health care and effective disease control, leaving no stone unturned for the well-being of the state residents.
It is with immense pleasure and deep sense of accomplishment that I stand before you today on this historic occasion, the commissioning of the Cottage Hospital Demsa. This momentous event marks yet another milestone in our journey towards building a healthier and more prosperous Adamawa State. The Adamawa State Ministry of Health and Human Services, a cornerstone institution in our state, has undergone a remarkable transformation in recent years, guided by our Strategic Development Plan, SSHDP2. We have worked tirelessly to modernize and revitalize our health services, making them more patient-centered, accessible, efficient, and affordable.
In their separate remarks, the Commissioner of Health and the member representing the Demsa constituency at the Adamawa State House of Assembly commended Governor Fintri for his efforts in the health sector and his prompt responses to containing emerging diseases such as Lassa fever and measles in the state.
As we speak today, Cottage Hospital Lamude is at 95% completion and will soon be commissioned by His Excellency, while work is steadily progressing in Maya Baloa new General Hospital. It is worth noting that some health agencies that never had any intervention for decades were and still having ease of life.
This Cottage Hospital is one of the best in Adamawa State. And I want to tell you that we have a legacy to leave behind. That we have a Cottage Hospital and we have a township road to showcase even after we are not around.
Immediately after the Cottage Hospital event, the governor commissioned a new 4.8-kilometer road stretching from Demsa town to Old Demsa, initiated and constructed by his administration. Amabata Aman Al-Amdu Glaston Taneke, who performed the ceremony, described the project as magnificent during the colorful event held in the Demsa local government area.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
The royal father commended Governor Ahmad Fintri for building the road, noting that it will alleviate the suffering of the communities and stimulate economic activities in the area. This event is part of activities marking Governor Fintri's 5th anniversary in office. Gibson So Adugo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State has committed to improving the state's ranking in education through relevant investments in key areas of the sector. According to the governor, this would be achieved through comprehensive support for the Dan Modi Student Care Program. Here's the report.
Governor Umar Namadi's administration prioritized sustainable development through human capital enhancement. Key to this vision is the promotion of education by ensuring access and support for the less privileged, thereby guaranteeing basic education for all residents. The initiative aims to create a strong foundation for long-term state development. Recently, 30,000 school uniforms were distributed to students with disabilities, 300 bicycles to underprivileged students, and wheelchairs for disabled students, among other forms of support.
Today is a special day for us because we are honoring a special people today. You will all agree with me that the people we are gathered here for today are special people. In the first place, you have heard from the SSA Student Affairs that we are given 30,000 sets of uniform to students that dropped out of school because they cannot afford to get uniform. Again, we are giving 30 vulnerables a basic bicycle that they can use to go to school. Today, we are also honoring 30 blind men with the reading and materials for their own studies in their own school.
Effort that you have done, Your Excellency, in ensuring that the people of Jigawa State are well educated is very important. I therefore call on the entire people of Jigawa State to ensure that they give His Excellency and his government the support to ensure that they achieve this all-important work. The SSA to the governor, who has done his best to ensure that this program is put in place, is very, very important. I must commend you. I must commend your effort and that of His Excellency the Deputy Governor, under who is chairing this exercise, to ensure that everything is done successfully.
We used to give individual scholarships to students who dropped out in the last 5 months. We also sponsored 8 NBBS students who were about to lose their studies. Stakeholders say maintaining this level of support will enable Jigawa to become a leader among states in providing accessible and high-quality education for its citizens.
Still in Jigawa State, rice production is anticipated to reach 1.6 million tons, fulfilling 27% of the nation's rice demand by the end of the next cropping season. Governor Umar Namadi highlighted this projection while evaluating the progress of rice farmers in various parts of the state. The report.
Jigawa State is cultivating 150,000 hectares of rice in floodplain areas this year. With an average yield of 4 tons per hectare, the state is expected to meet 27% of the national rice demand by the end of next cropping season. In addition to rice, Jigawa has also planted over 55,000 hectares of wheat in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, with support from the African Development Bank. According to Governor Namadi, this makes Jigawa a significant contributor to the national food supply.
We have gone around all the farms in Jigawa State, especially the cultivation of rice. By our rough estimate, at this dry season farming, about 200,000 hectares of rice have been cultivated in Jigawa State. And this is a very massive production. So I think with the 200,000 hectares, this translates to almost about 800,000 tons of rice. This 800,000 tons of rice is quite huge in Nigeria. And therefore, by the time we multiply this during the rainy season, we are talking of about 1.6 million tons of rice. 1.2 million tons of rice represent about 27% of the Nigeria requirement for rice. If Jigawa State can produce at least about 27% of the Nigeria requirement, then we are on the right course.
Governor Umar Namadi also reviewed the progress of the 1,500 the housing estate being built across the state 5 emirate councils. The houses in various stages of completion are praised by the governor for their quality and potential to address the state housing deficit.
This is the News Hour on Trust TV. Let's now join Yusuf Akogu for Business News. Hello, Yusuf.
Thank you, Sagir, and welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP grew by 2.98% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2024. A report by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, stated that the figure was higher than the 2.31% recorded in the first quarter of 2023, but lower than the fourth quarter of 2023 growth of 3.46%. It states that the performance of the GDP in the first quarter of 2024 was driven mainly by the services sector, which recorded a growth of 4.32% and contributed 58.04% to the aggregate GDP. The report stated that there was a rise in the aggregate daily oil production to 1.57 million barrels per day, higher than the daily average production of 1.51 million barrels per day recorded in the same quarter of 2023, while the non-oil sector grew by 2.80% in real terms. NBS stated that aggregate GDP stood at 58 trillion naira in nominal terms. Still on GDP, the National Bureau of Statistics has begun the process of rebasing Nigeria's gross domestic product and consumer prices index estimates. According to the Statistician General of the Federation and the NBS Chief Executive, Semiu Adeniro, this exercise was recommended by the United Nations Statistics Commission to be carried out every 5 years with the aim to reflect updated economic conditions. Speaking in Abuja on Thursday, Adeniro emphasized the importance of accurate and timely data in today's rapidly changing and interconnected world. The last rebasing exercise was conducted in 2014, making this the second in nearly a decade. The stock market closed the week in red as profit-taking dominate activities across various counters. Let's see how the stock data went today. Of course, the losing equities there, PZ leading them there by 10% to close at 19 naira and 80 kobo per share. ETI down 9.98% to close at 21 naira and 65 kobo per share. Of course, FCMB also down 9.42% to close at 6 naira and 25 kobo per share. Of course, this has dragged down the market marginally by 0.4%. Volume of trade 769.094 million shares valued at 15.742 billion naira in a list of 7,585 did exchanges among investors today. Of course, if you look at the top trading equities, ETI leading the table there, 504.972 million shares traded, UBA 38.932 million shares, of course, Zenith Bank 24.485 million volume of shares traded. Of course, some equities also ended on the gaining side of the market. Leading that table is International Energy Insurance, up 9.93% to close at 1 naira and 55 kobo per share. Curtis up as well 9.84% to close at 3 naira and 35 kobo per share. Of course, Jais Bank up as well 8% again to close at 2 naira and 16 kobo per share. That's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Friday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil prices set for another weekly loss as traders focus on U.S. interest rates. At the London market, Brent crude sells for $81 per barrel. For the pay basket, price studies at $83 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogu. It's back to you, Segir.
And away from Nigeria now, the top United Nations court on Friday ordered Israel to halt military operations in Rafah immediately, a landmark ruling likely to increase mounting international pressure on Israel more than 7 months into the Gaza war. The International Court of Justice also ruled Israel must keep open the key Rafah crossing for unhindered humanitarian aid and urged the unconditional release of hostages taken by Hamas during its October 7 assault. Israel had argued before the court that an order to stop military activity would give free rein to Hamas extremists and prevent its army from rescuing hostages taken in the group's brutal October 7 attack. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced he would convene senior ministers after the ruling. South Africa hailed the ruling, with Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor saying it was a much stronger set of provisional measures. Very clear call for all cessation.
The court considered that, in conformity with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, Israel must immediately halt its military offensive and any other action in the Rafah governorate which may inflict on the Palestinian group in Gaza conditions of life that could bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. The court expressed its grave concern over the fate of the hostages abducted during the attacks in Israel on October 7, 2023, and held since then by Hamas and other armed groups, and called for their immediate and unconditional release. The court finds it deeply troubling that many of these hostages remain in captivity and reiterates its call for their immediate and unconditional release.
Let's now join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Nigerian amputee football team known as Special Eagles have turned their focus on the semi-final clash against Morocco in the Amputee Football Cup of Nations taking place in Egypt. This comes after the Nigerian squad spanked Liberia 2-1 in a tough quarter-final battle on Thursday, while Morocco beat the host nation Egypt 4-2. Nigerian goalkeeper Ogidon Olayemi said the Special Eagles have to prepare well for the encounter, noting that they are the team to beat, especially as they opened their campaign with 11-0 mauling of Burundi. Olayemi said he was unable to keep a clean sheet in Nigeria's quarter-final match because the Liberians went all out for victory. The goalkeeper assured Nigerians that the Special Eagles will put in their best in order to overcome Morocco. Morocco will host the Amputee Football World Cup in 2026. And still on football, Bayelsa Queens' hope of winning the ongoing Nigerian Women Football League Premiership suffered a setback on Friday as they were held to a goalless draw by struggling Heartland Queens. The game kicked off with the home team expressing hunger and desire to get the job done as early as possible. Heartland Queens going into the game at just a point after losing 2 and picking a draw in the first 3 games of the tournament. Bayelsa Queens planned to capitalize on that, and they nearly got the lead just 10 minutes into the game. Chimebere Opera went close to scoring in the 14th minute for Heartland. A rebound effort went off goal, while Mercy Omoko thought she had put her team ahead with a goal in the 23rd minute. Her effort was ruled out for offside. 6 minutes later, Heartland's Uchenna Chukwu made a point-blank save to deny Bayelsa Shakira Moshood. Coach Domo Okara sent in the likes of Mercy Timmy, Chizom Chima, Rose Ekong, Mercy Omoko and Angel Murray. Yet, they could not change the rhythm of the match. Same for Coach Obiogbala, who introduced Nwabueze Charles and Chiwendu Oji to beef up his team, yet unprofitable. The game ended in a stalemate and led Bayelsa Queens in an uncomfortable position with 8 points. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And that wraps up the news hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social platforms and catch our live stream on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. I'm Sakir Ibrahim, and on behalf of the crew, have a good night.